Hey everybody, this is Ashton and Jordan from Show Me Vegas, and we actually just got back from Vegas.
Yeah, just this week. This was our seventh trip to Las Vegas since Las Vegas opened after the pandemic in 2020, and we noticed some big changes this time around. So we decided we'd make an update video for you guys showing you what to expect in Las Vegas this spring.
Let's do it. All right, everyone. So our first takeaway is that Vegas is back. We actually just recently got back a couple days ago, and let's just say it was the biggest crowds we had seen since the pandemic or since before the pandemic. Basically, all the restaurants, the bars were full, definitely pre-pandemic. Now, I know that some of that was the March Madness effect. However, I feel like coming in to the summer and busy months, it's going to be just as busy.
Yeah, it was busy for sure, and gosh, how nice was it not to have to wear masks?
It was really nice. Obviously, masks have been required most of the time. There was a short period that we were out there, back in 2021, that for a short stint they did get rid of the masks. This time, the masks are gone, were lifted since we've been there, and it was so nice to be able to see everybody's faces, not having to worry about your mask, taking it on and off all the time. The one thing I will say is that if you are taking a ride share, via Uber, Lyft, or a taxi cab, a mask is required. However, when we were out there, we didn't find that to be the case. When we would get into an Uber, not a single one was wearing a mask, and they said, if you don't want to wear a mask, you don't have to.
Yeah, technically it is still required by law on public transportation, cabs, and ride shares, but the drivers, like she said, don't seem to care. You might have one handy just in case, because they can require you to put one on if they desire to. If we could give one bit of advice still in Vegas right now is to still make reservations. Now that really was a pandemic thing because of low staffing before, but now it's because Vegas is so busy, especially on the weekends. We still highly recommend making reservations for dining. Don't expect to be able to just walk up to your favorite restaurant on a Friday or Saturday and be seated. Alright, so takeaway number 2 from this trip was that ride shares are back to normal. Again, during the pandemic, ride shares became kind of hard to come by and expensive at the same time. Well, on this trip, we used ride shares almost exclusively, and we had no trouble getting an Uber or a Lyft at any hotel at any time, and they were very reasonable, cheaper than cabs.
Yeah, that was the one thing I will say. We did not have to wait. I don't think we waited more than 3 minutes or 3 to 4 minutes anywhere after we requested one. They were there. It was quick, and we had a good experience. All of our Uber drivers were great, except for I was picked up in a Tesla. I've never been in a Tesla before, guys. I didn't know how to open the door, so,
Embarrassing.
it was embarrassing.
Embarrassing. Now, that's not to say we recommend a rideshare for every single ride. We're still of the opinion that the cab is the way to go from the airport to your hotel. Merely our preference. We know it's a few dollars more expensive, but we don't like dealing with that Uber, Lyft, rideshare pickup area at the airport. It's just absolute
Chaos.
madness. The cabs are ready to go at the airport. They always are. You almost never have to wait to get into one. So we always use a cab from the airport to the hotel, and then after that, we use ride shares almost exclusively for the rest of the trip.
All right, so the next takeaway is that we are getting into pool season. Most of the pools were open, but I am telling everyone, especially if you're going the next couple months, if you've been to Vegas before in April and May, it's not always the hottest day. I'm not to say that you can't have a warm day there, but it's just as easy to have a 60-some degree day there. Remember that not all the pools are heated. In fact, usually only one, or the ones that are heated during the winter, are the ones that they do keep heated until it's more consistently warm.
Yeah, just because they're calling it pool season doesn't mean it's always pool season in April and May. I've been in May before where it was 65 degrees with gale force winds every day of the trip. So yes, the pools are open, and that means most of the day clubs again. But check the weather forecast just to be safe. It may not be, like she said, exactly your type of pool weather.
But pool season is upon us, and it is my favorite season out there in Vegas.
Now keep in mind, if you've not been to Vegas pools before, they generally are for hotel guests only. Now sometimes the exception to that is if you want to rent a day bed or a chair or a cabana. A lot of times if you've rented and paid for something, they'll let you in without being a hotel guest. That's not always the case, though. That's one thing that did change during COVID and hasn't completely reversed. I went in to make kind of a fake booking at the MGM Grand the other day just to check, and they do still have a disclosure on there that says you attest that you're a hotel guest at the time of your visit, and if you're not, you may be denied entry. So be sure to check with the hotel that has the pool you want to go to and make sure that you understand their rules before you head all the way down there. All right, takeaway number 4 is that there are a lot of changes coming to the Strip. Number 1, Bally's, if you haven't heard, they are going to rebrand and remodel that property. It's going to become the Horseshoe Las Vegas. If you're familiar with Vegas history, the Horseshoe used to be downtown. It was called Binion's Horseshoe. Caesars has owned that name for a few years now, and they're finally going to put it back into place in Vegas. Bally's is going to become the Horseshoe, but that doesn't mean there's not going to be a Bally's on the Strip anymore, because Tropicana is actually owned by the Bally's Corporation. They are rumored to be changing the name of the Tropicana to Bally's. So I know that's going to be confusing. It's all in a name. It's not that big of a deal, but it is going to cause a lot of confusion here in the next few months or whenever those changes do take place.
So on top of all of those changes coming to the Strip, there's actually several new restaurants coming to the Strip, which is super exciting. That's one of my favorite things to do out there, is trying new places to eat, trying new lounges, bars, all of that. So the first one being Vanderpump is now open at Paris. So there's now 2 locations. There is a Vanderpump inside of Caesars and now one inside of Paris. So the other new restaurant that's going to be opening is they're actually opening another Nobu at Paris. So a lot of new things coming into Paris, which is exciting. There are 2 other locations of Nobu. There is one at Virgin as well as Caesars. It's a really popular sushi restaurant. We've actually not ever tried it, but again, another one we do want to try that's down in the bucket list. Third, there's actually another restaurant that's going to be opening at Paris. It's going to be called The Bedford by Martha Stewart. It's another new exciting restaurant that's going to be coming to Paris as well.
Other new restaurants coming to the Strip include Nellie's Southern Kitchen. That's going to be at the MGM Grand. It should open very soon. There's not a specific date out there that we could find. That is a southern home cooking type of restaurant owned by the Jonas Brothers. There's also going to be Walk On Sports Bistro at Harrah's. That's a new place. And Boss Cafe by Cake Boss Buddy Valastro is going to be opening at the Link. And then, of course, just opened in Las Vegas is Nusret. That is a high-end steakhouse, probably the highest-end steakhouse on the Strip now. That's by Salt Bay. If you're not familiar with that guy, he's the guy who sprinkles salt off of his elbow after cutting the steak or meat right in front of you. He got famous basically from a meme, but he's now turned that into one of the most expensive restaurants in Las Vegas. It's just off of the park, in between Park MGM and New York, New York. We've already seen some vlogs of people eating there, and it does look cool. And it also looks crazy expensive. You can even get a steak that's wrapped in gold if you feel like eating gold. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you may as well just eat your $100 bills. Fifth takeaway is that entertainment is coming back to Las Vegas in force. Most of the shows have reopened, and there are tons and tons of entertainers coming to perform residencies and short runs all across town.
So one of the shows or residency that we had actually had a chance to see was Wayne Newton, his new show Up Close and Personal that plays at the Flamingo. So he's there, I believe, about 3 nights out of the week, and it's a really intimate performance. And just so you guys are aware, it is a very small venue, so you're going to get really comfortable with your neighbor, pretty much shoulder to shoulder. But we had a blast. I thought the show in itself was so entertaining, so good. I would recommend that show 10 out of 10.
Absolutely, and of course, Wayne's not going to be around forever. You want to be able to say you saw Mr. Las Vegas in Las Vegas. Other performers coming to the Strip include the Backstreet Boys. They play at Caesars Palace several times in April. John Legend has a limited run at Planet Hollywood.
Lady Gaga is actually going to be coming back to Park MGM. Silk Sonic, which if you don't know who that is actually a collaboration of Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak, and they're actually the duo that makes up Silk Sonic. It's supposed to be kind of a Soul Train vibe. I think it looks pretty cool.
Down at Resorts World, Katy Perry is going to continue with her residency all summer long. And the Jonas Brothers, hey, it's cool when you can work 2 Jonas Brothers references into one update video. They're going to be playing also at Park MGM. Several shows in June. Maybe they'll just make an appearance at their new restaurant while they're out.
How cool would that be, huh?
Of course, in addition to some of these artists, There are the old mainstays. We mentioned Wayne Newton. Barry Manilow, of course, you can still see down at the West Gate.
And Donny Osmond is still performing.
Now he's performing solo, no longer Donnie and Marie. But the last show that we're most excited about coming back to Las Vegas this summer is Aerosmith is coming back to Dolby Live at Park MGM. They played a residency that was almost over when COVID hit back in 2020. We saw that show in 2019, and it was absolutely phenomenal. Those guys still rock for some 70-year-old. They're in their 70s.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They can still put on a heck of a show.
It was a blast. So we actually talked about possibly going back to see it again.
I believe that one reopens in June. Now, this is not an all-inclusive list of entertainers coming, but just some of the ones we thought were more notable. All right, our final takeaway from this trip is that it's time for you to get back to Las Vegas. I know a lot of you were waiting till Vegas returned to somewhat normal before coming back. Well, that time is now. This was the most normal Vegas has felt since early 2020, easily, and it's time to get back to Las Vegas and enjoy the city that we all love. Hey, that's it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this spring update. I hope it helped you plan a trip this spring. If you're new to the channel, we'd love to have you subscribe. If you liked the video, please do hit that thumbs up button and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.